Kraft Heinz, a huge laggard, of course. A series of lower highs and lower lows. We've got the old COVID low at $20 even. Seems more likely than not that in time we would move back there. 323 to 54 is when that low is due. No obvious trough here. Was it here? And this is like a one-bar rally. It's certainly possible. Very hard to read under that very strong move down. RS just mildly positive, really flat, right? Always use the angle to help you. Very flat. If it tries for higher, it looks more like that it would turn down again. In Kraft Heinz, I'm sorry, we need to look at the short term, shouldn't we? Short term, there's a low here, 12.18 to about 1.1. For now, this is looking more like a little bear flag opportunity here. Just like these, right? Of course, that was earnings, unfortunately, but nice move down on volume. Little move back up on lower volume, and then follow through down, right? These are what you look for. RS is firm down. You want RS is firm down when it tries to rally, right? And you have a clear stop. I don't short into the strength. I wait for it to move back down. So as it moves through that low, for me, 26.90 versus that high, that's your risk. Base case would be a move back to that low every time. Oops. Look at that. Clearly at least 1.5, maybe up to 2 to 1 versus risk. But that's how I like to trade it. Why? Because by being short lows, and not everyone likes to short into weakness, but I find it helpful to just put in orders, right? Just put in the order, because when it is actually happening, I may not be there. I may not be looking at that symbol. So just have the order in, right, with my stop in place. So it will have me enter. It will put me in. I find that to be the easiest with my stop and my target. Again, that's always the first target, right? I always put that in first, and then I'll add a second based on the setup. For this kind of setup, right, where it was down, I would be just looking at one target. If it was more of a cleaner trend and we were earlier in the corrective phase, like we were somewhere here earlier, then you can be looking at a breakdown from range, right? So this could be a bigger target setup. So it's all based on context, right? Where are we moving out of? In this case, right, we're moving out of a several week trading range. This has been going sideways for 13 weeks. And then you're getting a breakout to the downside on 10/28. So 10/28/2024. Where is that? 10/28/2024, right here. Okay. You have an earnings gap down. Let's see this context. This is what I want people to have from office hours, not what am I saying about XYZ symbol. It's how do you build like a clear process by which you will trade, right? That's what I want. Okay, so this is our trading range, right? We broke out of the trading range on earnings. Look at how it traded. Tries higher, can't get there. Tries higher, can't get there. But what are we doing? We are creating a balancing area or a trading range below that. So where is the clear setup? There are two different options. Some like to short rallies, so you can be short there if you want. I would rather be waiting for a break of this range right here. That range is right at 33, okay? So I'd be shorting below 33 because you now have two equal lows. Again, let the setup get you to the point of execution, right? Let it form to the point of execution. So that means once you have these two equal lows, your risk is $1 versus that high. It should not move back over that high, correct? If you have a trading range, this is, again, one of those really important things. This is where you can build a clean process with ideas and concepts like this. Breakdown of trading range, price acceptance below trading range, two equal lows, right, at the same level. Guess who is going to have stops below there? Those who were buying there. You've also moved out of range. So now what's happening? You have a move out on the downside on the weekly. You have a move out of range on the daily chart. And this is where you can create a really high odds play with a runner. right? Not just one target, because this is a move out of range on an intermediate term time frame, right? So that's where you want to be really focusing on here for those high odds plays. And look at how it traded after that. Not by accident. It tried to enter range, couldn't. Tried to enter range, couldn't. And you can see what has happened. Okay. Again, this would be my stop. This is where I'm shorting. That's my risk. This is my risk. Okay. What would be my measure and move target? What I like to do, actually, I learned this from Slim years ago. This was a great way to, again, create a consistent process by which you analyze a market. Take a little price line, then right click and do redraws channel on toss, and you have a measured move right there. There's your measured move. Okay. First area down is always right around 1R, 1 times my risk. So if it was $1 down, first target would be $1 from here, which is right here. You're taking some, I take some off at 1R every time. Next target would be the measured move. Okay, so first one is right around here at about 32. Next target is at 31. Okay, after 31, that would be the measured move. I look and I see how has price traded. Has it moved very fast down? Yes or no? It did. It did move very fast with not a lot of consolidation. So that says, okay, I'll be out. Okay, so one here, and I'm out. Two targets. That's how that setup would have played out, but a very high odds play because we have moved out of range from the weekly. You then set up 2 equal lows. You saw price acceptance below, clear stop level based on logic, based on what would happen if we traded back into that. That's where I always think about, if we traded back through that high, that would be really very bullish at 34. That would be where I would want to be long. So therefore, that's where I want to keep my stop. I want to be out prior to longs starting to buy. That's how I always set my risk, right? Is based on that overall logic. Where if I'm shorting, where would longs start to buy? The longs would start to buy over there. So I want to be sure that I'm out if we trade back to that area. That's how I set my stops on shorts, and the opposite on longs. And again, that's how we also do our trailer, in this case, for multiple targets. I don't always go for multiple targets. I always have to look and see what kind of setup on the weekly are we moving out of, right? The longer that we have moved sideways, the more interesting pattern that it is to look for multiple targets. These are things I think that are so important. It doesn't matter where we are right now. It matters how can we build a process around what we do. Look at this secondary opportunity. What does this look like to you? Again, I wish we were in a room so I could hear people say something, but we're in a descending triangle with equal lows. That's another opportunity. That's another opportunity, right? What's the measured move? Right about $2. What happened? I've gotten exactly $2. Got pretty darn close. This is 190 something. It almost got to the exact measured move. Again, classic TA. It is worth so much money because it keeps you objective. There's a descending triangle here after that. A move down, consolidation, right? And then a break. So here's your short right there. And then a quick move down again, right? So lots here in KHC to learn from, but we have to be open to going back to 2024. Was anyone thinking about that? No. Every chart, you've got to go back and look, because remember, every time you do this, you're building models in your mind for what setups you need to look for. The more of these you do, the more you'll say, okay, that this is this kind of setup. Let me add it to my playbook. This is a setup that I personally want to be involved in. What rules here were there for entry? What rules were there for exit? That's how you can build an actual strategy, not just this is what I think, this is what I feel. That's how you build an actual strategy, by going symbol by symbol, right? Setup by setup. Create commonalities amongst those setups, right? What did you see? Where did you enter? What was happening in the overall setup? That's how you create rules for each of those setups with this exact process. So it's really important. And that's what I hope people get from office hours, not what do I think about this underlying? Because that's not going to lead to long term growth, right? What's going to lead to long term growth is what we just highlighted in this name back in 2024. Doing that across symbols, doing that across time. It takes time, but that's how you can build something long term for yourself, which is what my goal is to see you guys have long term success. That's 100% why I spend so much time every day working like extremely hard, countless hours, so that you guys can have success. That's it. That's the objective. And also, of course, because I love this business, as you can hear. 1218 to 11 is when that low is due. Okay, so that's KHC.